35 years old,
Yes.
you created a definition of success.
I was having some success, but what really bothered me was I was watching successful people sometimes not do well. All of a sudden, I don't know, it's kind of like they had a values dump or something, and I watched them just kind of go off the track. So I thought, well, this could happen to me. I think that in leadership, there's a naiveness if we think that things like this can't happen to us.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, I had another mentor one time told me that people, when they failed and messed up big time, it was almost always that they never thought it would happen to them. So they weren't on guard, or they were careless, whatever. And then it happened to them. So I had to ask myself, well, what is success to me? Is success selling millions of books? Is success having a large company? Is success making a lot of money? I mean, what's success? And so I just went inside and said, I'm going to have a definition for me. This isn't for anyone else. This just, what am I going to say in my life is success? And I came to a conclusion after a few months that those who know me the best love and respect me the most.
John, I appreciate it. Today was, at first I was going to say it was the best talk we've had, but I want to change it. It's the most valuable talk we've had at all TCS. And
Thank you.
I admire it. So thanks for
They were so receptive. They just leaned in the whole time while I taught. They were very easy to teach.
They did.
People.
It was a beautiful time.
Be proud of them.
They're incredible. And so I appreciate you taking a moment with me here. There was 5 things that spoke out to me in the talk today, and obviously also in our conversation. So the first thing you mentioned was on how you personally master personal growth. I'd love to learn more about that, how you master personal growth.
Well, when I was younger, I didn't master it at all. I had a mentor who shared with me that I needed to become intentional in growth. Mm-hmm. I didn't even realize I needed to do that. Whenever you master something, you only can do it if 2 things happen. You have to have awareness of what needs to be done, and then you have to be intentional in doing it. Mm-hmm. So when my mentor told me that I needed to have a personal growth plan, it was a new thought to me. And in fact, I've often wondered, if I wouldn't have had that breakfast with him and he shared with me I needed to have a personal growth plan, I've often wondered if I would have ever had one. And today I look back at my success, and it's almost all a result of that I've continually personally grown and developed myself. And I've often thought, if I wouldn't have had that breakfast, I would have never been aware, and maybe I would have never been the person I am today. I'm so glad that he spoke into my heart and said, you need to have a growth plan. So there's an awareness that then has to be backed up by intentionality. Mm-hmm. And so I determined that I would grow in 5 areas, and I would grow in my communication, my leadership, my ability to equip and train people and develop teams, in my attitude as far as especially having resilience and tenacity during difficult times, and then, of course, obviously in relationships. And so that put me on the journey of where I am today, but we have to be aware, first of all. So for the people that are listening to your podcast, you need to have a growth plan for your life. And I just gave them the 5 areas that they need to grow in. So
Clear.
Just make them clear.
I love it. But one of the things you mentioned on the card that I loved, I wrote it down. I pulled out my phone as soon as you were talking. I was writing it down, was your definition of success. 35 years old.
Yes.
You created a definition of success.
Well, I was having some success, but what really bothered me was I was watching successful people sometimes not do well. I think that I don't know whether it was their ego got a little bit too big, but I think they kind of lost their way. So, and sadly, some of my friends lost their families out of it. I mean, they just, all of a sudden, I don't know, it's kind of like they had a values dump or something, and I watched them just kind of go off the track. So I thought, well, this could happen to me. I think that in leadership, there's a naiveness if we think that things like this can't happen to us.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, I had another mentor one time told me that people, when they failed and messed up big time, it was almost always that they never thought it would happen to them. So they, I don't know, weren't on guard, or they were careless, whatever. And then it happened to them. So I had to ask myself, well, what is success to me? Is success selling millions of books? Is success having a large company? Is success making a lot of money? I mean, what's success? And so I just went inside and said, I'm going to have a definition for me. This isn't for anyone else. This just, what am I going to say in my life is success? And I came to a conclusion after a few months that those who know me the best love and respect me the most. And I just thought, if my family they not only know the good side, they know the
Terrible side.
terrible side. I love it when people come and ask my wife, Margaret, they'll say, because they'll hear me speaking, and I have a lot of humor. And I think they think I go home, sit there on the couch and say, okay, and I do some training and teaching, and, and I think they have a wrong perception. And, when I go home, I take out the garbage is what I do, or, help her, do the dishes, whatever. But the point being, I came to my own conclusion that success for me, it has to be centered around people that know me the best, because they don't know my strengths, they know my weaknesses. Yeah. And so that's become my definition of success for 40 years. That really works for me. It just really works. So when I travel and, I'm doing book signings or whatever, podcasts with you, I just keep grounded by the fact of saying, okay, John, just make sure the people who know you the best love and respect you the most. There's something wrong with us, JC, when people who don't know us well like us better than people who know us well. That's a problem.
And I've met plenty of people in that category, right? The more you get to know them, the
I had people that you kind of really wanted to know, and then you got to know, and you got disappointed. You just, ooh, and I hope, well, I'm sure I'm disappointed somebody, but I hope not to. I hope to be able to say I'm the real deal, hopefully.
Well, my personal experience, I feel like every conversation I'm falling in love a little bit more. It's incredible. It's incredible. But on this journey, it's through success, through growth, there's got to have been some times of pure failure, of just real disappointment, lost. Where's maybe a moment in this growth that you've experienced where you've really struggled, and how did you get out of it?
Well, I think you never get out of struggles. I think there's a mistake that we think, I've learned my lesson, so I won't have to go through that again. And I look at somebody and say, well, you won't maybe have to go through that again, but you're going to have something adversarial that's going to be different. I mean, right. I guess the best thing I could say about that question is I expect it to be difficult. I expect there to be problems. I expect there to be issues and difficulties.
Right.
And so therefore, it doesn't overwhelm me when it happens. It's kind of like, well, that's life. Just like I have good things happen to me also. Right. So I think it's a perspective, first of all. But I never look at something adversarial and say, okay, I'll not have to ever deal with that again. Well, if I don't deal with that, I'll deal with something.
Right.
So I think it's a mindset. I don't think building a business is easy. I don't think having a good marriage is easy. I think it's all uphill. So the moment that you buy into that, do you have difficult times? Of course you do. But they're not that difficult because it's what you expect in life.
Right.
I remember Margaret and I were having a conversation, and I said to her, I wonder why we don't have as many problems as everyone else seems to. And she started laughing. She said, John, what do you mean? We have problems every day. She said, it's just that problems aren't problems as to you because you expect that as a way of life. And, there's a lot of wonderful things that happened to me that I didn't deserve, and there's a lot of bad things happened to me. I didn't deserve those either.
Yeah.
But that's just life. And I think the moment that we embrace both good and bad, I think then it begins to be something that we can really love, learn, and live through. And so, If somebody asked me, in fact, I had a Q&A. This is interesting. I had a Q&A one time, and somebody asked me, they said, now, when's the last time that you failed? And I said, well, I'm sure it's been in the last week. But then I got embarrassed because I couldn't think of a failure. And I looked at him, I said, okay, I'm getting embarrassed here because it's had to be within the last week, but I can't pull it out. But then all of a sudden, it hit me. I turned that table completely. I said, let me ask you, if you would have said, John, tell me about your last success, I'd say, well, it's been within the last week. But I couldn't pull it out.
Neither.
In other words, when you keep success and failure together and value both of them because they teach you different things and bring different lessons to you, it's not a big deal. And so I get up every day expecting that there'll be, and by the way, if you're leading something, the only problems you ever have are the ones that can't be solved at a lower level.
Right.
You know, so whenever you get a problem as a leader, they're the worst problems you could have because that's just part of it. So I just think it's a mindset. And I don't think it's not what happens to me, it's what happens in me. And I think that what happens within me is I'm okay. I expect it. I don't expect it to always be easy, and I don't always expect it to work out the way I want it to work out.
It's all about the mindset.
It's all about the mindset, really.
Love that. And you learned that from a young age. Your dad was very involved. You said lots of stories with your dad, and you said, though, there was specifically something your dad told you to do every single day.
Yes. Oh, my. Well, it was when I graduated from college, JC, and we were having dinner. I said, okay, Dad, give me your best advice. Kind of like, give me your best shot. And he said, son, if you'll do this every day, 3 things. He said, life, you'll be successful. He said, if you'll do these 3 things every day, people will want to follow you. People will want to be part of your team. He said, every day, value people, believe in people, and unconditionally love them. He said, very few people ever feel valued, give them self-worth, give them self-dignity.
Yeah.
Very few people have someone come and believe in them.
Yeah.
They've never had that wind beneath their wings. And he said, hardly anyone has ever been unconditionally loved.
Yeah.
And if you'll do those 3 things, he said, you'll be highly successful. And so I said, in every talk I give, I'm going to value people, believe in people, and unconditional love. And by the way, people can tell that. When you're talking to them, they can tell if you're for them. Absolutely. They can tell if you're for them, or they can tell if you're not for them.
Yeah.
And so every time I write a page in one of my books, I'm saying I value you. I'm talking to the reader. I believe in you. I'm unconditionally loving you. And it just sets the environment for me in my relationships with people. And I found that my father was exactly right. People lean in and long for that kind of healthy leadership. They just don't get it very often. So when you give it to them intentionally, continually, you become a leader that people just want to be a part of that team.
I love it.
I do too. It works.
What are you committed to right now? What's the rest of the mission look like? What's the big thing you're committed to?
Well, I'm committed to transformation of people. Transformation, if you train a leader, they know how to help you do a job. But if you have a transformational leader, they help you change your life. And there's just a big difference between transformation and just pure trained leaders. And so my passion is to help people live out good values. What we've learned is that when people learn good values and they live them out, they just become more valuable. They don't have to say, I want to become more valuable. They just become more valuable to themselves, to their family, to their community, to the people that they work with, to the team that they lead. So we're just committed to helping people embrace good values. If you take an empty bag and put it out in the yard, very quickly the bag blows over. There's nothing to hold it steady. And pretty soon the bag's out in the yard because the wind blew it away somewhere. But when you put values in and they become the core to the person, it begins to be an anchor. When you think of social media, when you see kids so dependent upon, do you like me? Thumbs up, thumbs down, that whole process. What we've learned is that when kids have good values inside of them, they need less validation from the outside.
Yes.
But if you don't have good values, then you need somebody to validate you.
Yeah.
So my passion is to help people live out good values and experience the lift that it gives them. One day they just are doing better.
Yeah.
And they, kind of are surprised, why am I doing better? Well, it's because you're living out these values that you're learning. So that's kind of helping
Transformation. I love it.
I want them to be better on the inside than they are on the outside. I want them to be bigger on the inside than they are. See, if I'm bigger on the inside than I'm on the outside, it's only time when the outside grows.
Yeah.
But if I'm bigger on the outside, my reputation over my character, when I'm on the inside, it's only a matter of time till it cracks and we fall apart. So success begins as an inside job. It doesn't show up on the outside. It shows up in here. Then it affects the outside.
You're amazing. I appreciate you, John. This has been a remarkable experience getting to know you more and in your energy and your leadership and guidance and wisdom.
I'm going to put
a blessing.
as one of my highlights for this year, meeting you and Karen. Honestly, I'm watching the two of you. You're just kids with a passion and a mission, highly talented, very successful, and I love what you're doing. You're helping people. You're really making a difference. And when I was 35, I wish I was as good as you. I wasn't. I was in the game doing my best, but you're far beyond me. And I just look at what you're doing and how you're helping people, and it's such a joy to be on your podcast to help you, because if I help you, it would help a lot of people, because you have a growing influence in the lives of people, because both you and Karen really put people first. You put people above money. You put people above your personal agenda.
Yeah.
You just put people first. And leaders that put people first build great people, and that's what you're doing. So thanks for letting me be a part of it.
I appreciate it. We had a big advantage. We had all your books to read.
Yeah.
You didn't have that whenever you were at 35. So
Oh, so it was the books. It was the books.
I appreciate it.
We both know better.
You're amazing. You're amazing. So,
Thank you, friend. Good to be with you.
thank you.